on Horror Network.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Horror Wars. I'm Rob.
I'm Josh.
And we are on the Riffing on Horror Network. Let me tell you something real quick. Not to brag or anything. But episode 16 of Horror Wars is our most popular episode of anything riffing on horror related.
Really?
Of all time.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You want the final numbers, sir?
Yes, please.
All right, because Josh doesn't actually know any of these numbers.
No, I don't get to see them.
He knows what we had on YouTube.
Yes.
And all that. But I am happy to tell you that between all forms of social media and all the different podcasts and all that stuff, like the platforms, over 2,500 listens.
Holy shit.
Yeah. First time we've ever done that for Riffing on Horror.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty fucking pumped about it, can't you tell?
It's fucking dope.
I mean, I'm pumped. So let's hope we can top that with this episode, right?
Yeah.
All right. So today, the war is going to be against two vastly different yet the same films. Much like with most of these Japanese horror or Asian horror remakes we've done, the films are relatively the same, but the American ones get like crab walked and shit on.
And then they try to make them edgier and then sexier. It's like, let's add more sex appeal.
Right.
I will give a warning if you guys ever watch the original or the remake, especially for those of us who have to wear glasses. A lot of the times you will think that your vision is blurring when it's the movie.
Right.
Because after the main lead gets her vision back, it's a lot of blurriness for a bit.
Right. So be forewarned of that.
Headaches galore if you get those because of that shit.
So we've got the war is between the eye and the eye. The Horror Klub Talk is a lot of people's favorite Japanese horror film, and that's Suicide Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
One of the weirdest fucking endings.
We're gonna get to that. Yeah, it's a damn good movie. Very interesting. We'll get to all that. And then we actually got some comments on that movie. I put out like a little bit of feelers to see if anybody, has seen the movie, if they want to comment about it, talk about it. And then we, of course, have our comment question section, which we have a couple of Patter Monkeys questions from a couple weeks ago that we're going to get into. Yeah. So now that we've gotten out of the way that Horror Wars episode 16 is the king of the mountain when it comes to riffing on Horrorverse.
Yeah.
Let's fucking pump that shit up, sir.
Okay.
Let's get into it. Oh, wait, by the way. Hello, everybody.
Classic.
Let's go.
Let me go first?
You know what? Let me go first.
Okay.
Let me get the poo-poo train out of the way first.
Okay.
Okay? Because I think you've gone first like the last 4 episodes.
I think it's because I usually get OG.
Right.
So it's like, let's just let the original go first.
Right. Okay, so the movie name is The Eye. The release date is January 31st, 2008. So January, February, March, that's where movies go to die. You already know it's going to be trash salad because it's in the holy trinity of hell when it comes to movie releases. The runtime for this movie is 1 hour and 38 minutes. Budget, $12 million. $12 million. Box office, it made its money back, $56.96 million.
Okay. And I think it's just because of the main cast.
Jessica Alba. Literally, it's because of Jessica Alba. That's it. The production companies involved are Cruz Wagner Productions and Vertigo Entertainment. Produced by Paula Wagner and Don Granger. Screenplay by Sebastian Gutierrez. Directed by two directors, much like the Singapore and Hong Kong Eye. But this isn't the Pang brothers. This is David Moreau and Xavier Palud. Cinematography by Jeffrey Jur. Edited by Patrick Lussier. Where to watch? Is currently you're able to watch The Eye streaming on Tubi TV, Redbox, Pluto TV, and the IMDb Amazon TV channel for free with ads. You can also rent or buy it as a download on Apple iTunes, Google Play Movies, Vudu, Amazon Video, Microsoft Store, YouTube, Redbox, and DirecTV. Ratings: 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb. 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And 2.2 out of 10 on Letterboxd. Yeah. Absolutely.
10 or 5?
5.
I
5.
was gonna say, holy
Yep,
shit.
5. Sorry, my bad. Plot. Blind for most of her life, concert violinist Sydney Wells is the recipient of a double corneal transplant that restores her sight at long last. With the help of her doctor and sister, she learns to see again. Soon, however, frightening visions convince her that a terrifying alternate world exists, and only she can see it. Dun dun dun.
See it very blurry.
Related media, nothing. Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. Because even the Pang brothers said, nah. And it's kind of funny because the Pang brothers directed this movie, and they were so renowned for their horror and their movie experience, and then they go and direct the fucking Messengers, an American 2007 or 2008 film with Kristen Stewart in it.
Ugh.
And it was fucking absolute steaming hot shit.
Delish.
But yet they denounced this movie. Go figs.
Figs.
There's 14 more facts on IMDb. So here's the 10 that we have. Number 1, to prepare for her role, Jessica Alba took violin lessons for 6 months, which she started while filming Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer in 2007. She also learned basic Braille.
Wow, that's cool.
Like, she actually put effort into this movie, and that makes me sad. Like, look, it does, because,
No, I get it.
you know, Jessica Alba spent several weeks at the New Mexico Commission for the Blind, NMCB, where she underwent a course with a specialized instructor to better prepare her for her role. She also spent a lot of time observing and hanging out with Jessica Bachicha, a blind soprano singer. Like, she really put effort into this. And I feel so horrible. Just like the original The Eye, 2002 from Hong Kong, the story takes its source from a real event, that of a young woman who committed suicide shortly after undergoing a cornea transplant, though she seemed to be living a perfectly normal and healthy life. Number 4, Chloe Grace Moretz shaved her head to play the role of a cancer patient. At no point did she wear a bald cap. And the funny thing is, I didn't even know that was Chloe Grace Moretz, because she's young in the movie.
Oh, shit.
In the American one. She's like 7 or 8.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. She plays the part of the cancer patient in the Japanese one. Or not Japanese, the Hong Kong, Singapore one, yeah.
10,000 places.
Yeah. Jessica Alba declared that while she had been wanting to do a horror thriller for a long time, she did not want to do a slasher where each character dies in a more outrageous and bloody way, where she found this film to be elegant and very well written, and her character, Sydney, to be elaborate and very interesting, thus enabling her to stretch her acting abilities. Number 6. Jessica Alba particularly liked the fact, according to her, the film is scary in a different, more subtle way than most other films in the genre, since the audience is never sure if her character is really seeing things or if she's just losing her mind. No.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, that's because the fucking movie didn't make it feel like she was seeing things as clearly as the fucking Hong Kong, Singapore one did. Anyway.
What, you don't like shadowy figures and stuff? Or
Right.
just a random woman painted blue? You're gonna die in like 12 minutes.
Right.
What?
Right. Like one missed call. This film is unique in the fact that it's the first Western remake of an Asian horror film that is not Japanese, but is in fact from Hong Kong, as every remake that came out after The Ring 2002 was of Japanese origin. Number 8. In the tanker truck scene, the license plate has the number 180 on it. This is a nod to the Final Destination movies where the number 180 became a symbol of horrific freak accidents in the series. So does that mean that this is actually tied into...
canon to Final Destination?
It kind of would, right? Yeah. Because if you're having a license plate that's there for horrible freak accidents, and the tanker truck is a horrible freak accident, that means it's connected into the Final Destination series according to this. The science that is depicted in the film, cellular memory, is in fact a real possible phenomena that is said to occur to organ transplant patients who inherit some form of memory or trait from their donor, such as their personal interests, likes, or dislikes. It is theorized that this occurs due to humans having some form of psychic abilities to an extent. Right? And the last fact from IMDb. While filming at the University of British Columbia, Jessica Alba would often mess up her lines and upon doing so would systematically scream fuck at the top of her lungs.
Fuck!
Eventually, the crew started echoing her screams throughout the building. So could you just fucking imagine that? Like,
it's like a musical.
Yeah, fuck.
Fuck, fuck, fuck. You just hear it from seven.
Fuck. All right. Thankfully for me, my cast is small, but I think you actually have a smaller cast. I think you got like 6 people.
No,
oh no,
there's some heft.
You actually got some heft in your cast this week.
Yeah, there's some heft.
Thank fucking everything. I'm going to butcher a couple names here, and I'm sorry in advance. Okay, Jessica Alba as Sydney Wells, Parker Posey as Helen Wells, Alessandro Nivola as Paul Faulkner, Roddy Serbadegia as Simon McCullough, Oba Babatumbade as Dr. Hawkins, Tamlin Tomita as Miss Chung, Fernanda Romeo as Ana Cristina Martinez. I said that as a question.
I was going to say, it sounded like you were going to keep going, like there was more to the name.
Rachel Tikatin as Rosa Martinez, and Chloe Grace Moretz as Alicia Milestone.
No.
So that's it. That's it for the Jessica Alba edition, yes.
Now, fair warning, the names I'll probably butcher a little bit, and I also forgot my glasses.
Right, so Josh is in for a world of fucking hurt today.
We have at least 2 lights up, and yeah, I think I can see okay. And for the budget and box office, it's gonna be a little longer than normal because there's 3 different types of currency that was
utilized,
tallied up. There we go.
Right.
All right. The movie name is, of course, The Eye. The release date is June 6, 2003. A runtime of 1 hour and 34 minutes.
Okay, so very similar to mine.
Yeah. So the budget, Singapore was $4.5 million and 98 cents. In Hong Kong, it was $25,914,676.44.
Remember conversion.
Which leads to the U.S. being $3.3 million. Let's just say that without adding in 10 million fucking... Or do you want the exact?
No, I mean, you could do whatever you want.
Let's give them the exact. Okay. For U.S., it was $3,306,392.33 33 cents.
So that's true. I'm going to need you to calm down over there.
My lord. The box office. Singapore was 2.3. We're just going to go with that for this. 2.3 mil. Hong Kong was 13 million. And for the U.S., it was 1.7 million.
So it literally did not make
It didn't even make half.
Any of its money.
It made about half.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Because conversion. Yeah. Okay. So the movie did fairly okay.
The production company was Applause Pictures. Produced by Peter Chan, Lawrence Chang, Jojo Hui, and Eric Sang.
Let me tell you, when I first saw Applause Pictures, I thought it said applesauce.
I'm going to be real with you, so did I. Seriously,
Fantastic.
I was like, applesauce.
Applesauce Pictures, baby.
And I thought it was because of the glasses.
Right. I thought it was also because of fucking Jay and Silent Bob.
The screenplay was by Jojo Hui and the Pang Brothers. Directed by the Pang Brothers. Cinematography by Decca Cimenta.
We'll go with that.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Decca.
Yeah, apologies. Edited by the Pang Brothers.
Yeah, the Pang Brothers edited this movie too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where to watch? Apparently nowhere.
Yep.
Not available on any streaming platforms for purchase or subscription.
You gotta high seas that shit.
Sheesh.
Yep.
Ratings. 6.7 out of 10 for
Oh man, they loved it.
64% for Rotten Tomatoes.
Jesus fuck.
And 3.1 out of 5 for Letterboxd.
Okay, so it decimated the American remake.
The plot. After 18 years of blindness, 20-year-old violinist Wong Kar-moon, Lee Sin-jae, regains her vision when she undergoes a corneal transplant. She's overjoyed with the procedure, but Mun's elation dissipates when she begins experiencing ghostly encounters. Big words.
Right.
I'm surprised I even read them correctly the first
Dissipates.
time.
Give me it in a sentence. Dissipates.
My happiness dissipates every time I get lost in thought. Related media. In all caps, sequels! The I-2, the I-3, which has in brackets 10?
Yes. Remember I told you this is one of those fucking movies where it's it's like they just put the 10 there for whatever fucking purpose. I don't get it, but okay.
And the remakes, we have Adieu from 2004 and Naina 2005 and The Eye in 2008.
Yes, because there was a Hindu remake, an Argentinian remake.
I don't remember. I do remember there was 2 different remakes.
Right, and then the United States remake, obviously.
And the film facts, which there are no more and apparently only 10.
Yeah, because I didn't just check IMDb for this. I had to actually scour. IMDb only had 4, and the rest of them I actually managed to get, things from. Why is it so hard to get facts about Asian horror films?
Probably because it's hard to get over there to ask people questions.
Maybe, but don't you think
Maybe they don't want to reveal secrets or some shit.
I guess, but every time we do one of these Asian horror versus American remake, holy shit, you've only had 4 or 5.
For one of them, yeah, it was 4 or 5.
No, for the last 2, Dark
Really?
Water and
shit.
the other one. What the hell did we do the last episode? Dark Water was the first one, and then One Must Call.
Yeah.
There was only 4 on that one too. This is the only one that I've actually been able to find a full fucking 10.
For mine, at least.
For yours.
Yours usually has
At
30
least
or 40
20 or
more.
30, yeah.
Film facts. The beginning, the operation for the blind girl to see again, and the end of the film are based on true stories the Pang brothers read about in the news.
Right.
The dark, black-figured person that constantly appears in the film when the characters die is the Daoist. Forgive, it's from a Chinese religion. Form of the Grim Reaper. The Daoist belief there are 2 Grim Reapers, the white and black Wu Chang. The Black Reaper is the one that escorts the newly dead to the other world or afterlife. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yep. Which is pretty much what's in this version of the film.
Which I'm going to say at some point, they're probably going to bring that kind of thing back and use that for a different film down the line.
More than likely, but I mean, it did get used in the I-2 and I-10.
Yeah.
So.
When Dr. Hua and Moon are on the train together, a ghost woman's face appears in the train window behind them as they travel through a tunnel.
Yeah, and that's pretty fucked up because I had to actually go back and watch that a couple times because I was like, wait a minute. Because when I first saw the movie when it came out, I was like, oh, that's cool. The little face there, ha ha ha. And then when I watched it again last week when I messaged you and was like, oh, God, I can't find this anymore.
Where the fuck is it?
Where the fuck is this movie? I noticed it and I was like,
Number 4. While playing the violin solo, Moon's fingers on her left hand never move. Well, don't they have... Oh, so she's not even...
Right.
Oh.
Yep.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
When Moon is in Dr. Lowe's office explaining her visions, her bangs hang down over alternate sides of her face.
Yep.
Wow.
Editing mistakes.
When Moon and Dr. Lowe get to Bangkok, they each have a black bag. At the hospital, only Dr. Lowe has one. Later at Ling's house, Mun has her bag back. Well, she just went back and, found it. She was worried. She looked for a couple hours and found it.
And found it. Yeah, sure.
My God. I need a small water break.
Man,
Jesus.
so, it's really cool doing Horror Wars and everything. We love having you here. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Apologies. A lot going on. During Munn's calligraphy lessons, the paintbrushes in the large white pot change position during the scene.
Yep.
Also, in Munn's calligraphy lesson, the brush is dipped into a glass of water, blackening it. In consecutive shots, the water in the glass is clear and clean. Continuity.
Continuity, baby. Woo.
When Munn hears the woman moaning in the hospital as she investigates, the position of the straps on her shoulder of her scrub changes.
Yep.
Who pays attention to that?
Motherfuckers. That
Someone
don't
was
got-
just like watching her back, like, oh.
Everybody- Continuity, baby. Continuity. I need it.
When Munn leaves the apartment and then crouches down to talk to the young boy about the report card, she is right behind the apartment door. But in the next shot, her grandmother looks out of the peephole in the door. Munn is now suddenly right in front of the door and on the other side of the hallway.
That's a huge continuity.
It's
error.
like a, what was Rob Zombie's brother's name's band? Power Man 5000 or some shit. It's like, oh, you ready to go? That song.
That was Rob Zombie's brother.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Found
Did
that
he
out.
die?
I have no idea. But yeah,
Anyway.
it's kind of like those old 2000s grungy things
yeah.
where they're like in one frame here, then they're like just all over the place
Yeah.
teleporting. That's kind of
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
That's what you can just pretend. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And number 10, the translation of the film's name in English is actually Seeing the Dead. That's so much cooler than just The Eye.
Yep.
And the funny thing too about I believe it's the original's poster. It looks like a Saw poster.
It does.
Like, I don't know, just weird.
Yep. Okay. So,
We have the cast still.
huh?
Oh, I thought you were.
Oh yeah, you do have the cast left.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Cast Angelica Lee as
Wait. Let's give out a another warning
Yeah, I'm
of
gonna
name
butcher
butchering
these.
because some of these names when I was looking them up, I was like, oh.
None
oh,
of these
God.
will be as rough as Suspiria, but Angelica Lee as Wong Kar Moon. Oh Lord. Kusnithorn Kostefan as Young Moon.
Sorry.
Lawrence Cho as Dr. Wah. I'm so sorry. Chucha Rujinan as Chiu Weiling. I kid you not. Tasanana Nuntasri as Ling, 4 years old. Damn. Oh, is this one name? Oh,
That's
Lord.
one fucking
Again,
name.
apologies. This is definitely new to me. Damn Ron O Isa Panich as Ling, 8 years old. I'm so sorry.
I really want to express that I'm not laughing at the names.
Yeah,
I'm laughing
same.
at Josh's facial like contortions as he tries to fucking pronounce these. He's like rubbing his forehead.
I'm trying so hard to like at least do some justice.
do some
and I'm
justice to their
failing.
names, right?
Soyatlai as Ying Ying, Candy Lo as Yi, Mun's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Dampsing Sing Traklusawidi
Yup.
as Young Yi. It's my new rap name.
Young E.
Yeah. Ko Yin Ping as Mun's grandmother. Pierre Dung as Dr. Yek. And Edmund Chen as Dr. Lo.
I'm gonna be known as Dr. Yek from now on.
Holy shit.
Okay, before we go into the actual scoring and the verses, I'm going to talk about these movies. Let's do a little talky talk, shall we? I know why the English version gets shitted on so much,
Why?
and it's something that I didn't notice until my rewatches. The background noise. And you're looking at me like I'm insane, and now you're looking at the wall.
Well, because I'm trying to remember.
Okay. The background noise in this movie, The Eye from 2002, the original one, it's very interesting because I listened to it wearing headphones. There's moments of like this weird static that kind of appear periodically through the movie. I don't know if this was done intentionally or what, but the American version doesn't have that. And the static is kind of like an undertone where you feel it. And like you can, like when the room changes
Right.
into the Brujas room, you can like hear that static as it's going. And it just gives off another layer of like, you know how in most horror movies where they got that that noise that you hear? Well, this one's like a real small one that they play a lot in the movie. And I got to thinking maybe that's probably one of the reasons why, other than the fact of like most of the cast was flat in the American one, but I think maybe that ambiance, that sound might have a lot to do with it. Because I watched the I-2 and I-10 and they both have that as well. And I've not really come across many movies that have something like that. Like I said, they usually you hear that and it's pronounced and loud. But as I was listening to this while watching it, I noticed it in the beginning of the movie and I was like, maybe that's just like some editing glitch or something. But then I noticed that when they talk, it doesn't happen. It's just silence.
I bet you it's because of whatever mics they had running.
Maybe
during those times, because like I've noticed that with streaming and stuff. Like I'll go and I'll re-listen to some stuff before I finagle with the mic. It'll be this really
low.
It's almost like a small fan, like a shitty broken fan kind of thing, where you just hear that hum.
Right. Like I said, maybe we have to go listen to some of it with headphones later on. Right. But it's weird. It's a very weird feeling.
It could have made people feel like sick or something, and then they kind of had to just leave. Right. So they were like, "This movie sucks."
No, because remember the Hong Kong, Singapore ones like really loved, and that's the one I'm talking about, like the Pang Brothers one.
I don't know why I went to the remake.
I don't know.
I was so in the conversation, and I went, "Yeah, you mean the remake, right?"
Right. No.
My bad.
No, I was talking about the original one, and that's crazy to me. Like, that's a lot of weird shit for that, because it plays into the effect of like the surrounding, which it does, because it's about the Grim Reapers coming and this and that and the death, but like when they're talking, it's absolutely silent. But when there's things going on, there's that little tiny.
Never realized that.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, dude.
That'll bug me if I go back. Like, I'll be like, why? It almost seems like when you edit some like an audio wave for someone, and you have to kind of lower that weird like like when a phone is near a microphone,
right? And it's not like I'm going to ever be able to ask the Pang Brothers
because
if it was intentional or not.
You can't get information on any fucking way,
right? Exactly. So how did you feel about both films? Was there anything that kind of like stood out to you with one versus the other? Do you feel like they were pretty much the same film, or
I feel like they were the same film in that they just wanted to kind of sexualize more horror. It seemed to me around that time of when like at that time Jessica Alba was like the end all be all of quote hotness. Yeah. That was your poster person, had him in like all the the blood and stuff and made him look all sleepy whatever. But which was a nice change of pace of this movie, because it wasn't necessarily the gore fest.
Right. It's very much psychological.
So it seems like they did the typical American spin on an old Japanese or Asian film,
right,
by just making it like darker and not using anything but blue. Because if you go and look at the cinematography for the original, just like with Ringu and all that, it's blue, like this very tame blue and everything.
Right.
When it's the same thing. After all these weeks of all these ghost girls and shit from the Asian horror films, you kind of start to see that they kind of all had the same filter, if you would say.
Yeah.
And then
in the American
and then it's the same thing for the American remakes, because it's just like, let's just make it look grungier.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. That's what we've said about all of these. Yep. The American remakes just look grungier and darker tinted than, because also another color that they use in the Japanese ones is like a greenish color, like that greenish blue hue. They really like to fucking settle their asses right there with a tinge of sepia. And it's like that's the normal Asian horror film filter there.
Then American is just like lots of rain for some reason, and then it's just always fucking cloudy.
Right. All these remakes are very cloudy, rainy, very blue, very like it's a formula, like 1000%. And also, by the time this movie was remade, this was basically the nail in the coffin for the Asian horror remakes. And now, unfortunately, in order to get these Asian horror films, you have to be subscribed to 10,000 different fucking services, or you have to high seas them.
Yep.
Because they still don't come out over here. We still don't get them. And it really pisses me off because there's a lot of really amazing Asian horror films.
From like doing a research, yeah, there are some that I'm like, I have never fucking heard of this ever, and it's like Asian films you must see, and it's like, where the fuck can I see it at?
Where the fuck can I see these 19 Asian films that you must see? Thank you, Nerdist.
Yeah, and some of them will be at like, it'd be like 2018, this amazing Thailand film. It's like, how the fuck do I see it?
Right, and then you go on Amazon and it's like $100,000.
Oh my, yeah.
Because somebody bootlegged it and made it region free. Come on, man. When's our time? Yeah. When is our time? When do we get to enjoy this shit without having 30 fucking subscription services?
That's what I'm saying.
Are you doing your grading?
Might as well.
All right. So for those that are new here, the whole point of Horror Wars is Josh and I give our opinions on what's better, the OG or the remake. And we discuss, as we just did, for about 20 minutes, the film, you know, give it its props, give it all that, whatever. And now we tally everything. And in a minute, we're going to actually reveal who is our winner, I guess you could say. I'm really going with a lot of OG here. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's a nice mix.
So it's going to be very interesting. Now, I'll give my justification when we get there. And I got one more. All right. Yep, I'm ready because obviously we're not going to do the nudity or the porn for this one. Although I think a porn version of the eye would be hilarious. And there was no nudity. The American remake had a very nice scene with Jessica Alba, though. So that's a plus. But it wasn't nude, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right. So for you, real quick, before we get into the discussion and all that, how much did you give the OG?
1, 2. I give him 5.
5 for OG? Wow.
Wow. It's actually, for me, it's split.
It's dead split. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. Okay, but the OG wins because I gave the OG 8. Yep. So OG takes it actually on this one. Why did you give the remake 5? What did you give the remake 5 for?
So, environment I gave to the remake.
Okay.
Because,
again, it was darker and grungier?
Not really. It's more of like, I don't know why. When I think of violinist and shit like that, don't get me wrong, I know music is just all around the world. But I kind of feel like, even like the plot, I guess, which I also gave the remake, fits into the American life where it's like, I want to get my eyes fixed to work on basically the music industry.
Yeah, I get what
you know, you know what I mean?
I absolutely understand that. Because in the I always want to say Japanese. In the Asian one, she's in a blind orchestra.
Yeah.
It's all blind.
Right.
But see, that's where me and you differ on that one.
Yeah.
I really liked the fact that it was a blind orchestra, and she basically got her fucking heart broken because she couldn't perform after meticulously training to do this. But now because she has vision, she can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, that resonated with me a ton because it was like, oh my God, she just got her fucking dreams dashed. She can't do her solos. She can't do any of that because she wanted to have eyes. And now these eyes are giving her bullshit problems that she didn't want in the beginning. So
I just wanted to see the fucking instrument.
Yeah. I haven't seen since I was 2, bitch. Like, that's why I went with original. Right. So, again, this isn't Josh and myself arguing with each other. So please don't ever think that that's going to happen in one of these episodes. There's no movie that we feel so fucking passionately about that we have to argue with. And the movies that we do feel super passionately about, we agree. And that would be fucking Dawn of the Dead and Evil Dead Remake from 2013.
And apparently, The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
And The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I just, actually, side note real quick, I just had Corey and Danny watch that this weekend.
Nice. Good choice.
And Corey refused to go to the basement afterwards. He's like, fuck that. Nope. And the basement's even creepier now because there's no riffing on horror stuff down there.
Oh God, it's just a big open room.
It's just a big open fucking room. There's no boxes. There's no nothing. Everything's gone.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's just this big
Nah, I'm
fucking
good.
open area. And also there's this like the old shoe rack that we had now holds like the laundry baskets. So it's just a laundry basket with a fucking shoe rack, a washer and a dryer, and like the old stuff that was here when we moved in.
Wow.
That's it.
I'm good.
It's fucking creepy. Just hanging lights now. Anyway, so so let's get into all of our differences, and then we'll craft our perfect version of
Frankenstein
the eye,
movie.
our Frankenstein, as we do every couple weeks. So acting, what'd you give?
I give that to the remake. So
Really?
Because of Jessica Alba.
Just because of Jessica Alba. I no.
Little-
A man's got to have his reasons.
Little childhood crush, so it's kind of hard not.
Little childhood crush. My God, Dark Angel fucking. Anyway, so I gave the acting to the OG.
Right.
Again, simply because I feel like Moon, the main character, had a lot more emotion.
I will say, don't get me wrong. Like, I wanted to give remake just for that purpose. Yeah, there's more to it, but what else can I say besides I understood them?
Right.
And
And sorry, real quick. The other reason why I gave acting to OG is because of the ending. I think the way that they did the ending
It's
and
like
the
a
way that they did all that,
downer
the
slash
time
happy.
loop and everything, and how they handled it, I really enjoyed that.
okay, fair enough.
So,
Right.
now, other than Jessica Alba, what was your reasoning? Or was it mainly just Jessica
Just
Alba?
Jessica Alba.
Okay. So directing.
I give that to OG.
Okay. I'm glad we agree on that one because Pang Brothers knocked that shit out of the park, in my opinion. Writing and plot, you said you gave to the remake, right? And you already kind of explained because of it's more relatable to you.
Right.
So, and I kind of explained my reasoning for mine as well. I like the backstory of the eyes in the OG more than I like in the remake.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if we were gonna.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. The Killers, which is Death, I gave to the OG
I also
because
give it to-
they were cool as fuck looking in the OG one.
Like the diner scene. That looked like a genuine shock because if a ghost were to fly out of fucking nowhere into your lap, pretty much, you would be scared, but you probably wouldn't react. Like you would just kind of just be frozen in fear.
Right.
In the remake, they do like a 720 spin, fucking out of the chair and shit. So, little over the top for me for that.
And not to mention two very drastically different things. In the original, the car hit was a little kid, a boy who was trying to go to school, and it was in daylight.
Yeah.
In the remake, it's an older woman, and it's at nighttime in the rain. There's that rain.
Yep, she's just out there just taking a stroll.
And the other one was in the original when, like, the woman goes into the diner and she starts licking everything, and that shit was fucking genuinely creepy, man. And then, like you said, in the remake, it's like, all right.
It's just some big cat. It's like a cat woman as a ghost.
Right, and it's like, oh, okay.
Damn, she just does gymnastics out of nowhere. She just got those eyes. She's only had them for like a month.
But there was a handprint on that fucking table.
Yeah.
Remember when he cleaned it up? So that was like, okay.
Yeah.
So casting. I already know you're going
Remake.
with remake because of Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
I went with OG because I feel like it was a very good blend of Hong Kong, Singapore,
Oh, no doubt.
you know, all that. And I really enjoyed it, like, you know, in that aspect. Soundtrack,
Remake.
I gave to the remake as well. Yeah. So
It's kind of hard because, again, with older... That's not even that old of a film.
No.
But it's like during those times in the Asian film time, there really wasn't like soundtracks.
no.
It was like you would get your shrieks and, you know, your door slam noises and shit
Right.
like that.
And you would also maybe get a little bit of ambient
Yeah.
background noises.
But you never really got like what could be considered a full soundtrack you could listen to for a couple hours.
And that's why I typically give the remakes the soundtrack nod in these Asian horror film movies. Now, in the last like 5 or 6 years, those Asian horror films have really kicked it up with like fucking crazy ass music and this and that with the crazy ass scenes, and shit's wild.
Even without like it being a movie, like with Squid Game. Like,
Right.
the soundtrack is fantastic.
Soundtrack to fit fucking Squid. Yes, Squid Game, dope. Now, the gore and kills, I gave it to OJ.
I also give it to OJ.
Because, again, as we just talked about with the fucking diner and this and that, like, even though it's not gory.
You can do simple horror and still make it scary without having to make it like the creepy deformed face flying at you
Right.
miles an hour.
Like when that kid jumped out the fucking window, even though he was already dead,
Yeah.
I felt more impact in
Yeah.
the Asian one than I did the American one because he just fucking ran. And it was like, okay.
The closer it looks to realistic death is...
We've said this.
Yeah, is
Yep.
kind of what gets you.
Is what gets you. And that, to me, is why I went with OJ.
But I think that falls into the question of, do we say that because we're desensitized? Because of how much horror we've watched? But still.
Hey, that's actually the Patter Monkey thing tonight.
Oh, that's right,
On,
yeah.
on this one, yeah.
I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah. So the
Exact
pacing.
question.
Pacing I gave to OJ.
I also give it to OJ.
Okay. There should really be no explanation needed. I felt like even though the remake was a couple minutes longer, it felt like 40 minutes longer because I can only take Jessica Alba staring off into the distance
Yeah.
so much.
How many, like, from basically the ass shot up of her standing somewhere.
Right.
Can we get that?
Right. And then somber music playing in the background. Like that. Okay, I get it. Please, can we do something different? And even though it was nice to look at,
Yeah.
and she was definitely a scene stealer in the movie.
We can get out of the feelsy stuff and just kind of get some plot progression. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thumbs
thanks.
up.
And that's why OG for me won that one. And time period, you gave
I actually said, here's where the environment and time period differ for me for this. I
okay.
gave the time period to OG because, again, like, I know that, like, your orchestra companies are still around nowadays, but I feel like a couple years earlier into the 2000s fits more into the time period for the eye.
Okay.
As weird as that sounds, I guess.
Right now, for me, I went time period for remake because it fit to me the vibe of we're years now. What 2002 to 2008 at this point. The corneal transplants were more of a absolute possibility to me in 2008 versus 2002
Okay, fair enough.
without things going as awkward as they got in the movie. But
But from my side, with that point, that still feels more like the OG feels a little better because it's like they had a higher chance of it not working out through the transplant.
okay, that's fair. You know, I didn't actually think about that, but I'm still going to give
I
it
just
to
want to do a counterpoint. That's all.
even if I were to give
Still a
the
good point.
OG, that would make it 6 to 14. So it wouldn't.
It doesn't change shit. But
Right.
I just figured counterpoint to your point.
No, I agree with that though. I do because it kind of makes it more like, oh shit, you could have really bad issues
Right.
because we're so early in the technology. No, I didn't think about that. So hey, good shit. Environment, I gave to OJ.
Mine was remake, but
Right.
we already talked about that.
Right,
For me,
exactly.
so.
So basically, from what I get from this, if we had the plot of the original with the backstory of, or no, if we had the plot of the new one with the backstory of the origin of the eyes, that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. The pacing of the original,
Yep.
Jessica Alba being the star.
Yep.
And would you like her to have a love interest, or would you like it to just be, I'm Dr. Man, brr? I like the love interest personally for me because it gives her more of a reason to.
No, love interest is all right. I just, once it gets to being that's what it's about is the romance side.
But that's not what they did in this
No, I
one, which
know.
is awesome.
But that's what I'm
Right.
saying. As long as
Yeah.
they keep it how they did, then
Right.
chill. If
Right.
they completely go into some soppy ass shit.
Right. Now, which one do you like better when it comes to the ending? Do you like the American or do you like the Asian? For me, I go with Asian because I loved seeing them lining up at the cars.
I was gonna say I
And-
just like the fact that she could be happy even though she lost her. She seemed happier in the.
Both of them did.
Yeah.
So
It's
it really
kinda rough.
boils down to which version
No.
of the explosion or whatever do you like
Yeah.
better? So
I'm gonna say original, just
Okay.
because it feels a little more realistic in a movie,
even though it's not, right.
but I kind of like it more just because it's
Right.
like, of course, it's the original ending. It's like,
Right.
it's such a downer ending, but then
Right.
there's kind of a happiness to it because it's
Right.
like, it's a life I've already known. So.
Right. So what the fuck? Right. So that's basically our perfect version of the Eye. You get the plot of the remake with the Eye versions from the original, and then you get the creepy scenes, probably more than likely from the original, with a couple sprinkling ins of the remake. Do we like it to be blue, or do we want it to be blue-green?
I'll go with just blue. I can only take so many.
So
of
we
one
need the
color.
ambiance of the remake. Do we need it raining and cloudy?
Can we get some sun every once in a while?
Okay, so then we need the OG then.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think if me and you directed a version of the Eye, we would have a fantastic version.
Just fantastic.
Just fantastic. So why don't we go ahead and get into the Horror Klub Talk. Horror Club. We got to work on that. So the horror, I'm going to be far away from the mic on that one. The Horror Klub Talk this week is Suicide Club, which is a very weird movie, but very big gateway movie, I like to call it, for people to get into Asian horror films, honestly, in my opinion.
It's also a good way to be very confused.
Very confused, because what the fuck? I do have a few people that have given us a little bit of their insight to the movie. Lamont says, "This is a classic right here. I remember trying to get everybody to watch this in high school." Keiko said, "One of my fave horrors. Can't wait to check out the show. Fun fact, as a huge girl group fan, it scared me off of girl groups for like 2 years." So Keiko is in Japan.
Yeah.
So she's an awesome woman. I love her. Mike said, "Great. It's quite good."
It's quite good.
John said that ending was ... Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My point.
So thank you to you four who, sent out your little dabs there. Let's get into the little bit of Suicide Club that we have, because as with last week, making it an official thing, this week we do have a bit of discussion regarding it. The plot is police officers investigate a string of mysterious suicides throughout Japan. Directed by Sion Sono. Story by Sion Sono. I'm sorry. Produced by Seiya Kawamata, Junichi Tanaka, Toshi Tomida, Saiji Yoshida. Production company, Omega Project. Cinematography by Kazuto Sato. Music by Tomoki Hasegawa. Based on the novella and manga of the same name. Now, with the manga, the person that did that reached out to Sion Sono and wanted to do a basically panel by panel remake of the film, and Sion was like, "Nah, bro, do your own thing."
Gotcha.
And the novel actually had was it Noriko's dinner table? Because Noriko's Dinner Table, I think, is the name of the prequel to Suicide Club.
Yeah.
And the novel had both in it because it was written after both films. Yeah. So that made the novel like 600 fucking pages or 700 pages.
Stephen King novel.
The initial release was March 9th, 2002. And the sequel is Noriko's Dinner Table, which is actually a prequel. Sorry, I didn't read that far. Okay, I'm supremely fucking sorry for everything that's getting ready to come out of my mouth right now. Because this cast... Okay, you had yours, I'm going to have mine now.
Okay.
Ryo Ishibashi as Detective Kuroda. Masatoshi Nagise as Detective Shibusawa. Akaji Maro as Detective Murata. Saya Hagiwara as Mitsuko. Yoko Kamon as Kikyo Komori the Bat. Rolly as Muneo Genesis Suzuki, which Rolly is very popular in Japan. He's actually a singer, and he was in a
shit.
band, and he's done voice acting work and all that shit. So that's pretty cool. Hideo Sako as Detective Hagatani. Sorry. Takashi Nomura as security guard Jiro Suzuki. Tamao Sato as Nurse Yoko Kawaguchi. Mai Hosho as Nurse Atsuko Sawada. Kimiko Yo as Kiyomi Kuroda. Mika Kikuchi as Sakura Kuroda. And So Matsumoto as Toru Kuroda.
Okay.
There you go. So the reason why we are going to be talking about Suicide Club this week is because that's what we do now. We talk about other movies. All right, so let's talk about that fucking ending.
I still don't fucking get it.
Okay, from what I read on Reddit, it seems like it's the movie's technically a satire on Japanese life in 2001, 2002, where boy-girl bands were really starting to take over. People were getting more involved with TV and phones and everything like that, and being led astray from traditional Japanese life. And it was kind of done as a, well, if you are easily manipulated into things, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you remember how you used to get those chain emails?
Yeah.
That's what the patches of skin are supposed to represent. Anybody that replies to the kids
Okay.
gets that piece of skin moved, and it's the ongoing chain. And that's what the Uzumaki of skin is.
And then it cuts to a girl band just singing a song to
That's
warn.
because they were the catalyst for the suicide. That's it.
But it's just so strange that it's just like, okay, we're going to get like a couple people walk out and be like, we're so evil, yes, with the fingertips, the Mr. Burns hands.
Yeah.
And then it just goes to like a live performance.
Did they shove that chicken up that girl's ass?
I would hope not really.
The baby chicken?
Bro, again, the more realistic and the more they themed it around actual like suicides people do, makes the movie great, but it's just like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like
it derailed at the end.
Yeah.
The detective work, all that shit, I really loved all that. I loved the symbolism, I guess you could say, of the movie. I love how they tried to do things.
The more I think about it, the more I realize that like it was the if you fall for this kind of shit, you know,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have it type of thing.
That's exactly that's exactly what it is. And of course it's in the early 2000s when all that shit was taken off, like I said, you know, emails and this and that.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I enjoy Suicide Club because it's different.
It's definitely fucking different.
It's different. Much like with Uzumaki, like we
Right.
talked about a couple weeks ago. It's different.
Yeah.
You can only take so much ghost girl curse.
Yeah. It's
whatever.
almost like a breath of fresh air.
Right. Even though they're
it's not.
even though they're being like those parental units of don't you fucking do this. You know.
Phones are bad.
Phones are bad, TV's bad, music bad.
Sit outside and do nothing.
Right, I'd rather you sit outside and do nothing than sit inside
Yeah.
and do nothing. What? Anyway. So what about the movie did you like and what didn't you like? Is the part that you didn't like really just the ending?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just feels like it's like blue balled me.
Right.
Like I was expecting something 100% different, and just when they called the number and it said like, what was it? It was like you don't have to or some shit or
Right.
like the suicide. It doesn't exist.
It
It's
doesn't
like,
exist.
Like what?
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 Right.
What did I just watch all this shit for?
And then like
Where's my big reveal?
and then the guys in the bowling alley were like, "Hey, we're the ones behind it," and then they're not.
Yeah.
Because they just wanted fame. Well, Genesis wanted fame. So it kind of unraveled.
Yeah, very weird.
It kind of unraveled in like the last 15 minutes of the
It's
movie.
not bad. It's just weird.
It's really good.
It's not your normal movie format.
Right. If they would have kept going in the way that they were going without like her putting the code in and getting to the fucking kids just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, and they were supposed to be going to the concert for dessert. It was supposed to be their concert, but yet there's a bunch of fucking kids hanging out and we don't see them.
And that's when I started to get confused.
Right.
Because it felt like the episode of South Park with the Jonas Brothers were just a bunch of little kids out in the thing. It just felt like...
That's where the movie loses me. And I think that's where the movie always lost me.
Yeah.
Because when you have like hey, you want to go fucking kill yourself? Like that part's pretty funny. I mean, it's like they're all so upbeat and cheery about like jumping off the roof.
All right, let's do it in like 5 seconds. Train's coming, guys.
Like, yeah. I think what also trips me out is how her butterfly tattoo was on the chain, but she didn't kill herself.
Yeah.
So did she break the chain?
I don't know, because the ending, it's like, are they telling us like she broke it and that's why they're singing? You know what I mean? Like,
right. But then how did her fucking skin end up on the chain?
It's one of those weird like wood scraper things too.
And then I also thought about the one detective, because he just like, where the fuck did the bag come from?
No.
I know that we get the bags, but where did the bag come from in this one? Because they never explained how they got that bag. Is it the same bag? Because when he goes in, like the one guy looks at him, and I guess it was the autopsy person or whatever, and he's like, oh, shocked and everything. So I thought he was the one that was behind everything, like the fucking detective. And then I got confused when they just started unraveling the fucking Uzumaki. I was like, oh, okay.
Where are we taking this film?
And then they went into a fucking trailer with baby chickens and ripping clothes off of women and shoving baby chickens in asses while there's one guy just looking away.
And that's just, I guess that's not understanding Asian culture. Right?
I don't fucking know, man. You better get off this fucking phone or I'm gonna shove a baby chicken up your ass.
Sheesh.
All right. You know what time it is.
Top 5 time?
Top 5 time.
Tap it.
Top 5. All right. I'm not going to lie here. I told Josh, because I have seen many Asian horror films. So when you do that, you tend to kind of put a bunch of things together.
No.
Just like with American horror films. I've seen them maybe a couple times, maybe a few times, but I still like the fucking sleeping bag scene in Friday the 13th part, question mark, where he slams her up against a tree. I don't know if that's 4, 5, 6. I know it happens, and I know it's later in the franchise, and I know they repeat it in Jason X, but I don't remember where the fucking original one was. Like, they blend together. So I did do a lot of YouTubing for this to kind of get like the feeling back for a lot of Asian kills or deaths or whatever. And I still don't even like my list.
Okay, so on the same side for me, I haven't seen as many as Rob. Right. I've seen a few. And if I have seen more than a few, it was like bits and pieces.
Okay, right. So you YouTubed or researched?
I had to relook up stuff. Now, one of mine is from an anime movie.
Mm-hmm. You told me that.
Right.
And then you just left it. You dropped it.
Just to be forewarned.
Right. And I do not have any honorable mentions this week.
Either.
I just have my top 5 because, again, it was hard for me to do this. If I had it my way, I would always do like a top 20. But then I know that would mentally break you every 2 weeks.
Oh, my God. Ain't no way.
And our episodes would be like 2.5 hours long. So, no. All right. So, do you want to go first this week? All right.
So, for my number 5.
Number 5.
Comes from the anime film.
Okay.
Which is called Corpse Party.
Oh.
And the kill, I don't remember the names because I don't want to mispronounce them. A character is holding the door back from one of the killers and is talking and telling them to get out. And all of a sudden, the person behind the door literally just punches through the front of their face. Yep. And it doesn't explode. It literally looks like a hand puppet. And like their mouth gets all like contorted out, like their fingers are pushing through it. And he holds them there for a minute and then throws them. So yeah, that's one.
Okay. So number 5 for me is from The Doll Master in 2004. Just the dolls. Like, the movie's creepy.
Yeah.
There's some gore and there's some, like, pretty interesting deaths. But, like, the living dolls, like, I have to go with that just as, like, oh, God, why? Why did you do this? So what's your number 4?
It's a movie called Death Bell from 2008.
Okay.
And it is the bathroom stall scene where one of the characters is trying to crawl out from it, which they're getting stabbed up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it seems more realistic of someone being stabbed up and not seeing their gallons of blood gush out of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like it starts to pull out, and as he climbs, his reach out is what gets me. It's the way he's reacting to being pulled back in that gets me, not the stabs. Because again, when your adrenaline kicks in, I've never been stabbed, but
I have.
you're not going to be just screaming immediately. You're not even going to notice it at first.
That's correct.
Your panic is the getting away, and that's what gets me, because you can hear the stabbing sounds, of course, which are exaggerated, but he's not reacting to them. He's just trying to get the fuck out of there.
Right.
So there you go.
Okay. I get it. I dig it. Mine, number 4, is from Monsters in 2017.
Never heard of that.
Right. And now I have all of these just written down as one word.
Yeah.
And Dolls was the one for Doll Master, and this one is Train. Because there are 2 zombie, demonic, older sister, younger sister type thing. And there's a bunch of bullies that take the younger sister and brutally, like, fuck her up and torture her and all that. And, she's not human, so fuck it, right? Well, the older sister catches wind of, like, I don't remember how, but she gets a hold of the fact that these bullies in this gang basically has her younger demonic sister.
Yeah.
And she goes on a fucking rampage. Well, in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, there was the bus scene where he just fucking went through everybody. In Monsters, it's the same fucking thing, but with a ghoul, demon, fucking crazy bitch jumping up and slicing people and
Holy shit.
fucking ripping their faces off. And yeah, it was pretty brutal. And I think that might be the scene or the movie where they got the inspiration for the one in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because they do the same outside of the train thing as they do on the bus in Texas, where like the blood splatters up and like you can see them moving and shit. So I don't want to say that that's the inspiration, but I feel like it could be.
Could be.
So yes. So what is your number 3?
The Death from Ringu I believe it's the final one, where his face starts to contort. And it turns black and white, and it does the big smile. That.
Yep.
That's the only way I can describe it.
Yep.
It's so fucking, again, simple horror. Just a face. And just distorting a little bit.
I get it. My number 3 is from Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl.
I remember the holy shit.
Yo.
Wow.
Okay. I could just say the whole movie.
What a fuck. Wow.
Because the movie has Japanese blackface in it, for one. The movie has a bunch of creatures that are being created by a geneticist that's dating. And then there's the fucking vampire girl who brutally kills and rips veins out and all sorts of stuff. But there's one scene where I don't... I tried to look it up to see if I could remember it more, but I couldn't. Because... today I was extremely busy at work, unfortunately. But there's one scene in particular where these guys get their throats cut. And their necks are kind of like leaning back and it's raining blood. And she's just fucking dancing.
40 gallons of blood.
Yeah, that dancing in the blood is the word I used for this one is dancing. Because it was just like she's so fucking happy dancing around in it. What's your number 2?
Number 2. It's actually the very first scene of Suicide Club.
That's your number 2?
You know why? Because that's like a main way that people commit suicide in
Right.
Japan. And again, just watching it and seeing a bunch of fucking like kids lined up and they're like, ha ha ha, let's do
Right.
this. And it's like, no way, there's going to
And
be
then
something.
all the
And then they
blood
just jump in
and-
front of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My number 2 is from Suicide Club, the beginning of it.
No fucking way.
First
really?
time ever, we actually
go.
had a matching fucking number.
Let's go.
Dude, because like you said, how opening up a movie like that is a mind fuck from the door. Because you're just like, oh my God, I just saw 50 people fucking die at the beginning, the first 4 minutes of this film. What the fuck does this have in store for me?
Like, that's the build-up to the movie.
Right. Man, I'm fucking excited that we actually had
that's
a
cool.
matching number. All right, what is your number 1?
This one is, it's more, I believe it's a Thailand film.
Okay.
It's called I Saw the Devil.
Ooh.
The guillotine scene.
Ooh.
Actually, I don't know why it turned to my stomach. I've seen plenty of horror films with a guillotine used. And it's just that initial reaction, like, again, the head gets cut off, and it's not just like the head falls and there you go. The look on his face, the way his body contorts, the heaviness of the guillotine. It's not just some, like, little blade that falls down. It's a heavy fucking blade.
That
got me.
always
That's my
reminds
number
me of that one from one of the Saw movies, like Saw 4 or something like that. The guillotine in that one where it goes into the fucking stomach. 5. Oh my God. Yeah, that's I can understand 1000% why your number 1 is your number 1. And for me, my number 1 is from the movie As the Gods Will in 2014.
Never heard of it.
It was directed by Takashi Miike.
Really? Oh, shit.
Yeah. And basically it's gods having fun with school kids and making them do whatever they want in a game.
Oh, okay. It sounds like an anime.
It was a manga.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, and Takashi Miike was like, you know what? This is going to be a good movie.
Good idea.
And the one that I did was actually the opening of the movie, and I just dubbed it Class. Okay. Because there's a little totem on a desk basically doing a red light, green light kind of thing. Much before Squid Games. This was a 2014 movie. So I've always felt that Squid Games got a lot of its feeling of like the way that the kills are from As the Gods Will. Because, man, these motherfuckers die. Oh my God, do these motherfuckers die. In this whole movie, these motherfuckers die. But that opening sequence where you just see them in a classroom and you have no idea why this is happening, much like with Suicide Club, you're just sitting there like, what the absolute motherfuck is going on? And why is this little totem guy killing all these fucking people?
That sounds really intense.
Yeah, and like I said, for me, I kind of feel okay with my top 5, but I also know that there's much better kills out there or deaths or whatever.
So what are your top 5s?
So what are your top 5s? Don't at us. Don't yell at us for our top 5s. Talk about yours.
Oh, yeah.
Sons of bitches. Anyway, so let's get into the final portion of the show today. And we're going to talk about Patter Monkey. I got to look it up real quick. Okay. This is something that he asked and we brought up earlier. We're going to try our best to get through it as quick as we can, but this is actually a very loaded question. So he says, with everything that is going on nowadays with society and what we've seen with serial killers, war, and just some people's normal fetishes, not even considering stuff that's illegal, but going legal and illegal as to what people are into nowadays, what we've seen, are we now desensitized to a lot of what would have normally been in horror movies? So his example is like things that people did in 80s horror movies, people just do for fun now.
Do for fun now.
first things that were in our movies in 80s that people do for fun now. That's what he said. I don't know. We can strike that from the record because it doesn't make sense. But he was also doing voice to text.
Okay.
So we'll forgive that. Now, like I said, that's a loaded fucking question. What becomes too much desensitization? Where do we draw that line? Porn makes us think that all sex is like porn sex.
Yeah.
TV shows are coming on at 8 o'clock with fucking people getting shot point blank in the face.
Yeah.
Does that have an effect on everyday people to a point where it has to be drawn back a bit?
In movies or just
in general, I think. Like,
okay.
Because, I mean, we can say that, like, for me, I was raised on horror movies.
Same.
So, and I'm not going to get into details here, but I've seen a dead body in real life.
Same.
I've seen a few dead bodies in real life.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I've seen a shot up dead body. I've seen a kind of rotting dead body.
Jesus.
I've seen a fresh dead body.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I don't know if it was because of horror movies that I'm desensitized to that stuff or if that's just my personality. Where does that line get drawn?
See, for me, again, it was like more a video game route. My dad would play like the Resident Evils back then and stuff.
My dad would too, actually. Resident Evil and like Silent Hill and
So,
shit.
you know, your Soul Reavers and shit like that, again, scary and violence and all that. And then they would watch their movies. Now, I was scared of them, genuinely scared. And then I would just play a new game or something that had a little bit of horror, and I would finally just push through it.
Okay.
And now it's to the point where I can play like a Mortal Kombat and see someone's head get split in half and all this extra shit, and I'll go, oh man. But when the horror and all that, even in TV, looks real,
it gets you.
it gets me.
And I know that.
But there's a way to kind of eye up like a little bit of technical deaths with a shot to the body. When you used to bring this up a lot forever ago was the shooting scene in the Joker movie.
Yep.
On the radio show. Again, more realistic death compared to like someone just explode, like Final Destination type shit.
Yep.
You know, a barbed wire fence flying across and cuts up into cubes. At that part, it just becomes like, eh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that because for me, it was the environment. Seeing it on TV a lot, playing in video games, you just build up that to where...
Not to mention, like, wrestling kind of took a lot of our desensitization
True.
in the 90s because of
The
fuck
blading
yous and the
and all
blading
that,
and all that and fucking nudity almost and,
Which,
you know...
Which is funny because if I watch, like, a medical show and I see someone's arm fucking actually blown up and they show the blood and bones, then I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, you cannot handle real macabre things.
Yeah.
When I first met you to now, you had a harder time even dealing with some of like the video game stuff or movie stuff, but you've really like you've come to grips with all that over the course of the last like 10 years almost. Yeah. So it's crazy to see your evolution in that, but yet in real life you're still like So at that point, are you desensitized?
I guess not. I guess if it's in the form of entertainment, yes.
Right.
In real life, I'm not.
Right. Now, I always struggle with nature versus nurture. That's something that really, when you talk about serial killers or you talk about shit like that, we still haven't like fucking dissected these people's brains.
Right.
And I don't know why we haven't. It's 2022. Shouldn't we like start to do shit like that? Like to see if there's something in the brain that's different?
Right.
I don't know. But I can say with my kids, I don't know how other people raise their kids. And unless you're abusing a child in front of me or you try to kill a child, do what you got to do. Yeah. I'm not going to judge anybody. Everybody makes mistakes raising their kids. but I will wholly fuck you up if I see you abusing a kid or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck how many people listen to it. It's just facts. I, at a very young age, taught my kids the difference between real life and production.
Right.
Some people may not agree with that. But for me, it was very much an easy choice to do because I wanted my kids to understand this is a video game. These aren't real people. They're not really dying.
Yeah.
This is a movie. Here's the behind the scenes. This is what actually went on to making this.
Yeah, my parents would do that too. They would
Right.
show me like the special features.
So I made it a point for them to see, like with Corey, when he started playing Call of Duty at a young age. I didn't want him to get to that point where he thought that it was okay to do shit like that. So I wanted to make sure he saw these are video games. Right. This is what happens in a video game. Now, did I go show him a dead body after that? No. I'm not a fucking psycho.
Took him right to the morgue that same day.
Take him right to the morgue and show him really what happens when you die in a video game. There is no respawns. So, no, I feel like you do have to talk to people.
Right.
If you feel yourself disconnecting. I think that's very important, and I think that mental health is not talked about nearly enough.
Agreed.
So I don't know where that line of desensitization happens. I don't, and I'm not going to sit here and try to fucking even remotely say, yes, music has done this. Movies have done this. Video games have done this, because time evolves.
Right.
And when they were hunting and gathering the food, did that desensitize them from death? Because that's, again, you're utilizing what the brain does.
Right. So
is that desensitization too?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That could be a podcast in its own. Just
Again,
that whole topic.
yeah. It's a very loaded question that
question.
Jason, Mr. Pattermonkey, gave us. And we do have more, but this is going into almost an hour and a half territory. And I would like to leave it open
right.
for everybody to kind of say what they want to say. Agreed. So if you got anything you want to say regarding this episode, please remember to email us at horrorwarspodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Instagram, Horror Wars Podcast, all one word. And also, not to mention, we do have a link tree, because that links us to, Riffing on Horror. It links us to the YouTube. It links us to everything right there. And then also check out Riffing on Horror, the main home base, the umbrella. The house
to hold us all.
That Horror Wars is under. So, for the Riffing on Horror Network, I'm Rob.
I'm Josh.
And this has been Horror Wars.
Kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. We don't always do it at the end, but
Bye.
bye.
Bye.